Peace and wellness to the family. We in here, man. We in here. I have gratitude and I'm thankful that y'all are in here with me, tuning in. I just want to say I'm grateful. You know what I'm saying? I'm grateful to have purpose. I'm grateful to have another day to get it right. I am grateful for the skills that I have learned along this journey of life. I'm grateful for my family that I do have, my kids, my mother. I'm grateful for my father, reuniting with my father last year and regaining a relationship with him. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for my mind. I'm grateful for having a roof over my head. I'm grateful to have a business. I'm grateful to have had a business idea. I'm grateful to have had the willpower to move on it. I just wanted to start it off this video with gratitude. Gratitude is a hack to bring us to a higher frequency, to a higher consciousness, to stimulate our immune system, to stimulate our body to create more T cells, to create more protective proteins over our cells, to create more white blood cells to fight off disease. This thing gets deep. It gets deep when people, as they say, trying to raise your vibration. But tonight, pardon me, we had the CMOS challenge this week. We got the CMOS 7-day CMOS challenge. So I'm staying committed to my challenge, so I can impress my subconscious mind. I'm not trying to miss a beat on that. So I'm sipping my CMOS smoothie. Y'all gotta pardon me. But tonight I wanted to talk about entrepreneurial spirituality, the spiritual journey of the entrepreneur. So I've been an entrepreneur now for 3 years. And I'm gonna tell you, it's one of those things that I have discovered and peeled back so many layers on myself that I have come into a way of understanding myself in a whole new perspective before I started this journey. Let me explain. When you leave the consistency of working a job and getting paid bi-weekly or weekly or whatever the payroll has for you as an employee, you're in a state of contentment. You're in a state of being reliant on that income that you know that is consistently coming from you trading time for money. Okay. And a lot of people during their time of working a job might create an illusion around what being an entrepreneur looks like. They might feel like, well, I don't want to work this job anymore because I want to work for myself, but that doesn't mean that you're going to work less. So you really have a strategic plan on how you want to go about your business blueprint and what business looks like for you. Me, in my case, I can say that this has been a whole spiritual journey for me, more so because I had to actually start my business from my own existence, which challenged me to go deeper within myself, because the more work I did on myself, the better my business did. And honestly, if you're starting a business to actually service people and not just for money, you're going to be more successful. This is why most businesses, I understand now, don't succeed and they fail, because people start businesses for the wrong reasons. The reason why entrepreneurship is a spiritual journey is because if you're starting a business to service people, that means you have to first service yourself. If you're going to be communicating with customers, you have to first improve the dialogue, the inner dialogue with yourself. With creating a good inner dialogue with yourself, you're going to create a great dialogue with your consumer to be able to convey your offer correctly, to bring in more cash flow. Proper communication brings in proper cash flow. Not only that, you'll build the value within yourself to become an asset to attract money to you so that you don't have to chase it. That doesn't mean you're not going to have hard times in entrepreneurship. That doesn't mean that things are always going to work out for you. In fact, sometimes it means the total opposite, because when things don't work out for you, you have to get innovative, you have to get creative, you have to get in your bag to be able to figure out how to get out of those situations. You have to become a high-level observer. You have to become a high-level problem solver. You have to become a high-level solutionist, which makes you go deep within yourself to be able to find yourself on levels that you never had before. This is why it's a spiritual journey. So you go on this spiritual journey looking for a spook god. But in all actuality, you turn around on the spiritual journey and you find yourself. And in finding yourself, you find new ways to bring in revenue by adding value to yourself. You kind of get in a sense of urgency within self, because you know that bi-weekly or weekly paycheck is not coming anymore. So you put yourself in a position of having your back to the wall. Now, some people are not able to handle this pressure because they're so conditioned by the corporate world. They have to actually deprogram out of the systematic ways of the corporate conditioning, the corporate plantation, realize they're free, and then they start their journey. Where some of us are able to hit the ground running because we had already maybe had a sense of street entrepreneurship. Maybe we had a sense of entrepreneurship before we actually became an entrepreneur, without even knowing that we were going to become an entrepreneur. And a sense of intuitive abilities from those skills that we learned from those experiences of business before we knew we were going to be in business. And then when I say corporate plantation, I mean that in a way of, like, think about the slave when they ran for freedom. Some of them didn't really actually know where they were going. Some of them made it, some of them didn't. Some of them had a stronger intuition of where to go. Some of them didn't have as much as strong intuition of where to go or where to run to. But the willpower and the will of them that were determined to escape, to find a way, to find an innovative path, to make it away from the plantation, to escape the plantation. They were led by a way of intuitive feelings to get them to freedom, while others gave up, or they felt like they could, this is not what they expected it to look like. So they weren't willing to put in the work to find the path to get to freedom. They just would give up or say, you know what, I'm gonna just turn around and go back to the plantation, because that's what I'm used to. And this is where the phrase where Harriet Tubman came up with run or die. That's where ride or die comes from. Ride or die comes from Harriet Tubman, because she carried 2 revolvers. Because she said, if I could have saved thousands more slaves if they would have knew that they were slaves. And that's because a lot of them wanted to turn back and go back to the plantation when they were on the path to freedom. Because maybe they would come across a swamp that they didn't want to cross, or maybe they felt some sense of danger, or they just wanted to give up. They didn't see themselves free. They actually wanted to go back to what they were used to. They wanted to go back to where they were complacent at. And Harriet Tubman would have to put the gun on them and say, no, nigga, you gonna run or die. Because you can't go back and put all my other free slaves in jeopardy and get a dog's descent of where we're running to. Either you're gonna take your freedom or you're gonna die right here. That's where ride or die comes from. It's really run or die with Harriet Tubman. Moses actually came up with that phrase. And it's an analogy. It's the same way with the mind frame that you have to have with being an entrepreneur. Either you're gonna find ways within yourself to be innovative, to be inventive, and create new ways and avenues to make money for yourself or add value. It's not always about finance. Sometimes just adding value will put you in a place of creating a future stream of income for yourself, creating a future, turning yourself into an asset in a way of futurism, by the way that you're thinking and by the way that your subconscious mind can work for you by you putting yourself in the future now. If you see yourself as a successful business owner and you're putting in the work, you might not be getting the results that you want, but you're putting in the work, then that means that your body, your conscious mind, your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference. So you're constantly in a high frequency, high vibrational mindset of knowing that you are going to be a successful business person. But what does that look like for you? A successful business person looks like for me is not what I acquire, not what I get materialistically, but it's more so who I become. Who I become, how much people I can impact, how I impact those people, and what resources do I have to consistently impact those people with my service. That to me is a successful business individual, because I know as long as I'm doing that, my finance will catch up to my value. My finance will catch up to my value. And this is the thing. So the spirituality comes from within. The battles that you fight within while you're trying to build a company, while you're trying to build a business. When you're building a business, it's like you're spiritually creating an entity. You're creating an entity that you have in your mind by way of a service that's attached to you. So you're not just building a business, you're building a life, and you have a cause. Now you have to ask yourself, is your business a cause? Is your business going to be your life? Because if not, you might want to reevaluate what business you're getting into. Because if you're just in it because you see a lane into making money and it's high demand, but you don't really have a passion for it, or you don't really love it, and it's not really about you, and it doesn't bring you internal happiness, you run the risk of going back into the same patterns or paradigm as you were when you was working that job when you were miserable. You didn't want to be there. You didn't want to do the work. So what makes it, you're going to have to work even harder building a business from scratch, from the bottom. And on top of that, you really don't have a true passion, and it doesn't bring you internal happiness. You're doing it because you see a lane in making it, you see a lucrative lane that you can make some money in. Now, don't get me wrong. It does work like that for some entrepreneurs. They pull that off. Maybe they have investors. Maybe they have other resources that they pull into to where they can get into the business, start it, sell it, and get into other business ventures. But they started this just by way of having investors and resources to start a foundation of a business so they can go into another venture that they want, that they actually are passionate about. Maybe they wanted to build capital to be able to do that. Key point is having a plan. Having a plan, formulating a plan based off these things. The 3 I's that helped me, and that helped me when I was building on my entrepreneur journey would have to be integration, inner work, and isolation. What do I mean by integration? A lot of things that I did, I had to involve my kids in because I had my kids with me, but I was always on the clock, constantly building and adding value to my business and trying to get eyeballs on my business, constantly doing back-end business, trying to build a team, trying to get a digital marketer, trying to understand how to bring more attention to my services so I can service more people. With that being said, I have my kids with me, I would have to get them involved in certain ways. Maybe it was getting content of us working out, practicing holistic lifestyles in our everyday routine and when we hang out. Maybe it was me cooking plant-based meals for them. Any way I could get them to help me or we interacting with each other by that is associated with my business, I had to integrate that. So that's what I mean by integration. Family integration in business is very important. I want y'all to hold on to that, because that was a gem right there. That was a gem right there, especially for my active fathers and mothers, single mothers that's out here doing the do. Salute to y'all. The inner work, self-explanatory. We just went on with that. And then the isolation. The isolation is very important. And entrepreneurship being a spiritual journey, you're going to spend a lot of time by yourself. Reason being because you're gonna have to figure some things out on the technical side, on the spiritual side, on the financial side, and also on the occupational side. Do you want to be a full-time entrepreneur, or do you want to still hold on to a job while you're building this business? There's nothing wrong with the either. It's all about what works best for you, and where you see your business at. What I'm noticing is, and Keys and other brothers from Earn Your Leisure was talking about how us as Black people, we don't understand that we don't have to hold close to our business like our baby, because we're not used to having a lot of things. So we don't understand how we could build a business up, build our brand up, and sell a percentage of it to an investor to expand the business to bring in more income. What that does is that helps your business expand, and then also you can go into another venture and keep 100% of that venture and maybe do it again. Now, I say that to say everybody doesn't want to build generational wealth by way of a business, because maybe their kids are not interested. Maybe their family members weren't interested in the business that they embarked on. So that means that, okay, that's fine. So if nobody wants to run the business, you have to find ways to expand the business. If that means that you have to sell partial of it, then that means that's okay. The spiritual work that you did within you being an entrepreneur will lead you to the next step of where you want to take your business to. And the next step with you, from the skills that you obtained and the person that you became while building that business, might have put you in a position to go to a higher level of a business venture. This is the beauty of the spirituality of entrepreneurship. The spirituality that you develop while being in entrepreneurship. So I ain't gonna keep y'all too long. Y'all, this is part 2. I'll do a part 3. I do a part 3 because this is very interesting. I find the spiritual path with being an entrepreneurship very interesting because of the things that you find out for yourself, the bravery that it takes, for you to be able to pull some of the things out of your bag creatively, being able